Do you love the Tabernacle Choir? This year, the choir's music is everywhere you are. Listen to your favorite choir songs and music and the spoken word anytime you want on Alexa by simply enabling the skill.
Alexa, play music in the spoken word.
Now playing music in the spoken word.
You can also download the Tabernacle Choir app, subscribe to the choir on YouTube, listen on Spotify, and have access to all their wonderful music. Happy listening.
Welcome in. It is the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Alex Napoles. That's Christian Esparza. We got Parker along with us today. And welcome in on a beautiful Saturday morning. Christian, how's your week, man? How's it going?
Good week. Good week. Nice to have the day off yesterday for Pioneer Days. Hope everybody celebrated, had a lot of fun, or just enjoyed your day off. Or if you didn't have the day off, thanks for working while the rest of us had it off.
Absolutely. Did you do anything fun?
My brother-in-law and his wife came to town.
Yeah.
They have 6 kids. The oldest one is 9. The youngest one is 8 months old. So we had a packed house. We let them stay with us. I didn't want them to have to worry about finding, a hotel room or an Airbnb, So we let them crash with us for a few days. So it was a lot of fun. Yesterday I took them all fishing. I was the only one to catch a fish. So that was kind of funny. I was like, oh, yeah, come on, guys. Like, they live in Las Vegas. They had never really been fishing before. And I had this grand idea of like, oh, yeah, we'll all catch fish. We'll have 6 poles in the water. We'll all catch fish. I was the only one who caught a fish. I kind of felt bad. Is that messed up?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, you can't really control it, right?
No, but like I was thinking, so I had the fish on the line, right? And I knew I had a fish on, and I just reeled it in. Should I have passed the pole to one of the little kids and let them reel it in?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
At first, I was like, oh, I probably should have done that.
No,
but
come
then
on.
I think, if I give the pole to one of them and let him reel it in, then all the other ones are going to be jealous. Like
Exactly.
I didn't want to cause a fight.
That's my train of thought.
Yeah.
You do it, and then that way the other kids don't fight over whose fish it is.
Right.
Then that way you can say it's my fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's awesome, man. Yesterday, the Days of 47 parade, got to be a part of that again. That was super awesome. Last year, you and I walked it.
Yeah.
This year, I got to sit in a cool tent. And
Was it nice and shaded?
It was nice and shaded. We had the KSL sports stuff up, and I got to announce everybody, all the floats walking by, and everybody who was coming down 200 East. I was there on the loudspeaker for everybody to hear.
So the zone or the KSL float, it was Lloyd and Tim representing the zone.
Yes.
Who else was there from KSL?
Oh, a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of people. A lot of TV people. I know Matt Johnson was down there doing his weather stuff.
Did you announce Lloyd and Tim's names?
No, I probably should have, though.
No, you shouldn't have. It's
Oh,
fine.
okay. I was so kind of like dialed into the script and like reading the script that well, and then too, they ended up flipping the floats. So like the KSL sports, it was like out of order. So I didn't even notice they were coming up until like Lloyd walked up and like waved at me and Cheyenne. So
Were there 2 separate floats?
No, it was just one float.
Oh, okay. But
Yeah.
they got.
But on the
KSL
script,
flipped.
on the
Okay,
script
with
they
somebody
were
else.
they were supposed to come up after, but for some reason they ended up getting flipped, so I didn't even realize that they were coming up.
Oh. Okay.
So I was so dialed into the script that I was just like reading it, verbatim, and then missed that Lloyd and Tim were waving at me.
Well, that's
Sorry,
cool,
guys.
man. That sounds like a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun last year. It
was.
Huge parade. I know that the whole city shows out for it. So.
It was a lot of people out there, a lot of really awesome people around the tent, man, it was fun. It was fun watching everybody walking down 200 East and enjoying the festivities of the Days of 47. Let's jump into sports. Let's get to it. There's a lot to cover.
Did something happen?
A lot to talk about because yesterday while I'm watching all these floats and all these people walking down 200 East, I get a buzz on my phone, and of course I glance over and take a look at it, and I get the news that LeBron James has made his last decision. LeBron James is a Philadelphia 76er. He signs a 2-year, $8 million deal to what is essentially going to be his final run at another NBA championship with the Philadelphia 76ers.
So that's funny. It's funny how there's already speculation that maybe this isn't his last deal. I've seen some people, theorizing that maybe he'll spend a year in Philly, get out of the contract early, and then go to Cleveland for the final season. Or maybe he'll finish out the contract in Philly and then go to Cleveland and have Cleveland draft Bryce and trade for Bronny so he could spend that final year with both of his sons. But at that point, he'd be, 43, 44? That's whatever. That's down the road. But the big news, is choosing Philadelphia over the presumed front runners in my mind, Cleveland and Miami. I mean, I had thought that LeBron was going to wrap it up in Cleveland for the last, I think, 2 years. I thought that was going to be the move. I was almost certain that's where he was going, but he chooses Philly, the team that just traded for Jaylen Brown. Of course, they've already got Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, and VJ Edgecombe. So now he is joining a pretty stacked group, a stacked team,
Absolutely.
A stacked starting five.
Absolutely.
I mean, if they can all stay healthy, and it's a big if, especially talking about Joel Embiid, that's a really good Philadelphia team.
I thought it was interesting, too, the tweet that he posted after the news broke, which was, of course, him essentially saying that he was ready to retire. He was ready to announce it. That's what I was getting at.
No,
I don't believe it. I know that he said in his last press conference he was going to take some time and look at himself, his career, and his family. I don't believe it. I don't buy it for 1 second.
No, that's performative.
Yeah, I don't buy it for 1 second. I don't think that at any point he was ready to hang him up. That this go around, I think that he knew that he wanted to continue to play. It was just a matter of when, and especially going back to last week, we talked about it. The trust the process comment that he threw out at that fan event.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. There was no way that I don't think that at any point LeBron thought that this was it.
No, we all know that LeBron James is going to go out eventually. But when he does, he's going to tell everybody so that he can have the retirement tour.
Right.
Because Kobe got his and everybody else really had theirs. You know, a lot of the legends had theirs. Dirk had his, Dwayne Wade had his. Like, LeBron wants that. He's not just going to walk off into obscurity with no warning. He wants the whole, LeBron, thank you for everything from all 30 teams in the NBA. Maybe he's going to wait until the expansion happens so he can even get a thank you from the 2 extra teams that the NBA ends up adding, right? So, I don't know. I think that's kind of, like I said, it's performative.
There was a comment made earlier in this week by Rich Paul. He was on a podcast with somebody. I can't remember whose podcast it was, but he was on a podcast with somebody. And he sits down in front of the mic and says that they're not doing this to be performative. They're just taking their time on for him to make his decision, right? Because he's earned it. Because his career and his accolades and everything that LeBron James has done, he's earned the right to think about it and to take his time with the decision of where he wants to continue playing, continue making his career. And again, putting an emphasis on the not performative line. Because it really felt performative, right?
This whole thing it's a circus.
Again, because going back to the trust the process thing, like riling up the Philadelphia fans, to Rich Paul talking about every single possibility that LeBron, on that same podcast, every single possibility of where LeBron James could go play, it did ultimately feel very performative, despite Rich Paul claiming and pushing the narrative of it not being performative. He even jumped on Pat McAfee on Tuesday, I think it was, where he jumps on Pat McAfee and says, be patient. He's making his decision. This isn't performative.
Of course it is. Like, he took 20 whatever days since the start of free agency. Now, I get that there were other moves that were made, right? Jaylen Brown being traded to Philadelphia is one of the moves, I'm sure, that led to this decision. And there was speculation on, was he trying to get Cleveland to trade for Anthony Davis and or Kyrie Irving, right? Or Miami to do that, or whatever, so he can end up with some of his buddies. But I do think it's interesting. Ultimately, he ends up in a spot with players that he's never played before. He has no relationship to these guys. He doesn't have any relationship to the city of Philadelphia. He mentioned, as you brought up earlier, his tweet thread that he put out. He brought up bringing energy to a new fan base that he's never been with before. So it kind of came out of left field, to be honest with you. I didn't think LeBron would want to be not the star of the show. He goes to Cleveland. He is the hometown kid. He is the star of the show. He goes to Miami, and yes, they just traded for Giannis, but it's like he won a championship there. But now he goes to Philly, and it's like, what is the pecking order? Like, they just traded for Jaylen Brown. Joel Embiid is the process. Where does LeBron, is he third fiddle? Is he second fiddle? Is Jaylen Brown going to be unhappy if he's not the alpha? And he, that's why he wanted out of Boston, is because it was not his team. Philly trades for him, and the assumption is, okay, this is your team now, Jaylen Brown. And then they just bring in LeBron James. What does that look like? What does it look like for VJ Edgecombe, who they just drafted last year? He had a phenomenal rookie season.
Right.
Now he's buried. So that's, I don't know. Again, like, if this ultimately works out and they win a championship, then who cares? But I truly think this is an interesting move, because somebody's not going to be happy with their role. And I cannot wait to see who it is.
And I mean, going back to, I guess, just the history of the 76ers, of Joel Embiid not being able to stay healthy, of Jaylen Brown competing with Jason Tatum, right, with his time at the Celtics, of who was the guy in Boston. Those aren't dominoes that I think now are going to magically start falling in the right places where they haven't been in the past for these players, whether it's the injuries for Embiid, whether it's Jaylen Brown sharing the spotlight. I do look at it two ways. Because I think ultimately you look at the potential starting lineup for this Philadelphia 76ers team with the Tyrese Maxey, with VJ Edgecombe, with Jaylen Brown, with LeBron James, with Joel Embiid, and on paper, that's a really stacked team. That's a really, really good team. I don't know if it's going to. I don't know if it's going to get them to where they want to go. I think you look at that starting lineup and say, this is an Eastern Conference that potentially you can take advantage of. You hear about it all the time, how weak the East is, but again, the question comes to, can Joel Embiid stay healthy enough for this team to be competitive? Can Jaylen Brown share the spotlight for this team to be competitive? Can Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe begin to start taking more steps in their career? Specifically, VJ Edgecombe, who's entering his second year?
This will be
year two, right? Can he take those steps to be competitive? Those are questions that I think need to be answered pretty quickly for me to think that the 76ers can be this can work for the 76ers.
Right. It's essentially, I mean, he signed a 2-year deal. You think he plays out both seasons?
I would think so.
Okay. So you don't think that this is like the quote-unquote last dance? Because that's a whole other layer to this.
Right.
Remember, he has a film crew following him around.
Exactly.
He has hired a film crew. And I'm sure this whole offseason has all been documented. This entire season is going to be put out in a series sometime in the future.
Season 1, dude.
Exactly. Right.
It's season 1 of the documentary.
Okay, so that's the other thing. But to your point, a lot of things have to go right for this to work. I mean, it's a risky move for Philadelphia.
Right.
And trading for Jaylen Brown, first off, is a risky move, but he's a good player. He's a really good player. He did a lot of good things in Boston. It was risky, but I think everybody would say, yes, they won that trade because they got off Paul George's contract. They really didn't have to give up major draft assets, and they bring in a guy who was Finals MVP 2 years ago. So that is a great move. Bringing in Jaylen Brown, adding him to this team. But then you bring in LeBron James and his ego and his antics and the circus. And I don't care what he says his motive is. If he says his motive is to win a championship, you know that LeBron James is not somebody who's just going to put his head down and stay out of the way, essentially. That's what happened in LA. That's why things didn't work out. And COVID bubble championship aside, the reason the Lakers were never very good while LeBron James was there is because LeBron wanted to be LeBron and run Le Show. Now in Le Philly, is LeBron going to take a step back and trust the process and let this play out the way it needs to play out? Or is LeBron going to step in and say, okay, I'm Mr. LeBron James. I'm going to run this the way that I have been running things for the last 10 years. And because if he does that, it's not going to work.
And I see it, again, knowing LeBron, knowing that this documentary crew is falling out, knowing that this is potentially his last step of his NBA career, I have a hard time seeing it not being the latter, right? I have a hard time not seeing it be LeBron wanting to run the show and wanting it to be, of course, about LeBron James, because this is what is everybody's now presuming to be the final run.
I can't wait to, Joel Embiid is no stranger to drama. LeBron James is no stranger to drama. Jaylen Brown is no stranger to drama. So mid-season, when things aren't going Philadelphia's way for whatever reason, I mean, we can place bets right now on who's going to be the first to complain. Is it going to be Joel Embiid complaining to the media? Is it going to be LeBron James subtweeting people? Is it going to be Jaylen Brown hopping on Twitch and calling out his teammates? We'll see. Because Jaylen Brown has a history with Joel.
That's true.
Jaylen Brown has a history with Bronny, right?
Yep.
Remember the comment? We'll have to find these and play them later.
I did see it pop up again on my feed yesterday after the news obviously broke. I did see the comments of LeBron going at Jaylen Brown because of what he said about Bronny.
Right.
Were resurfacing, and it was like the caption was, "These guys are teammates now."
Oh, you know what? There's no audio of that. It was lip reading. Jaylen Brown was talking to somebody at a Bronny Summer League game, and he very clearly says he's just not an NBA player. He very clearly says that about Bronny.
Right, yes.
And so that is the past. That's the relationship right now that LeBron and Jaylen Brown have.
And at some point, somebody asked LeBron about that, and
Yes.
and he went after Jaylen Brown in a post-game press conference, which that one there is audio.
So
audio
now
of.
that's got to be water under the bridge, I guess.
Yes.
But I don't know, because on paper, again, all these guys are very talented, right? Joel Embiid was an MVP, 3 seasons ago? When he's healthy, he's a very dominant player. And there's still no doubt about that. It's just a question of his health. Tyrese Maxey's an all-star. Jaylen Brown is a top 10 player in the league. LeBron James, although he is old, when he wants to be good, he can still be a good basketball player, right? He's still smart enough and been around long enough and frankly still physically talented enough to be, a starting player in the league. So maybe this is the best fit where he doesn't have to be the second or third best player. If he can be the fourth best player in the rotation, maybe that is a good fit. The question is just, is he willing to accept that role? Or, when the clock is counting down and the Philadelphia 76ers need a basket as time is expiring, who's fighting over the ball? Who's bringing the ball up the court? Who's taking that shot?
This feels very reminiscent. I know two very completely different situations, but this feels a little reminiscent of the Nets when they brought in Durant, and when they brought in Harden.
Okay.
Right? There's all this hype. There's all this super team talk. Everybody's talking about how the Brooklyn Nets are now going to be NBA champions, and it never worked out.
So you don't think this is going to work out?
No, I think there's too many egos in that room right now.
Okay.
And
So you look at the rest of the East, even though, we'll both sit here and recognize that the East is weak. I know a lot of teams in the East made moves to get better this offseason, including the Heat, right?
Right.
So sitting today right now, you look at New York, who just won the championship, Miami, who just traded for Giannis, Philadelphia, Boston, Cleveland. Where do the 76ers fit among those 5 teams?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think
Like right now today, do you think that you would take them over the Knicks?
over the Knicks.
Presuming everybody's healthy.
Presuming everybody's healthy, no. I still think until the Knicks are, again, go out there and prove otherwise that they can't go and be as competitive and be as great as they were this past season, the Knicks are probably my number 1 team in the East right now.
Okay. Do you take Philly over Boston?
No. I'm sticking with Boston at 2. And then I'd probably throw Philly there at 3.
You take Philly over Miami?
Yes.
And Cleveland?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely Cleveland.
Okay.
1,000% Cleveland.
All right.
I don't believe Cleveland anymore. I wanted to so hard, and I wanted to so bad. We've had these conversations, right, especially as the playoffs were going on, about how much I wanted to trust and believe Cleveland. But after the Kenny Atkinson comments about James Harden's defensive play and everything that happened this past season with Cleveland, how bad they were in that Eastern Conference Championship game against the Knicks,
Yeah.
I'm off the Cleveland train. Get me out.
I will say Philadelphia's bench unit stinks.
That's the issue I have with,
Like, they have
that's
no
another
depth.
issue. Yeah, that's another issue that needs to be talked about with the 76ers team is you saw how important depth was when it came to how far teams went in the Western Conference with how far teams made it in the Eastern Conference. One of the big reasons I feel like the Knicks were so successful this season was because they had incredible depth and they had players stepping up that have never stepped up before. Landry Shamet looked fantastic. Yeah, and I've always clowned on Landry Shamet for just being an average NBA player. And even he had a pretty good run in the playoffs.
Well, I guess you could say that about anybody, right? You could look at the 76ers bench unit and say that guy stinks. And we were saying the same thing about Landry Shamet a year ago.
Sure.
New York did lose Mitchell Robinson, right, to Boston. That was a big loss. I don't think they really lost anybody else. They retained Jordan Clarkson and Alvarado and Landry Shamet. So I don't know. I think that is going to be if Philadelphia can make it healthy to a postseason, right? They've got a 40-whatever-year-old LeBron James. They've got an injury-prone Joel Embiid. To his credit, Jaylen Brown is very durable. VJ Edgecombe is still really young. He shouldn't be dealing with injuries. Tyrese Maxey, I think, is fairly healthy, right? So if it comes down to it, I think personally I would take Philadelphia at the top of the East right now. I do think this maybe the LeBron James signing adds a little bit, but like the Jaylen Brown trade was huge.
Yes.
And I think that it's important to remember, we still haven't seen Jaylen Brown suit up with Philly. But when that trade happened, everybody was like, man, what a steal.
And it makes a big difference because he was in the MVP conversation because of the work that he did with the Celtics, right, in the absence of Jason Tatum. And again, not to discredit Jaylen Brown because what he did last season was fantastic. And if he can replicate any sense of what he did in that, especially in the first half of the season for the Boston Celtics, then that's a really, really great player that you just have now added to this team. Looking at the depth, they have Anthony Simmons.
Yeah.
Justin Edwards, Dean Wade, Adam Bona, and LeBaron Fillon Jr. Do any of those names move the needle for you?
No. But again, like you'd say the same thing about New York's bench last year, right?
Again,
it's like they're bringing in Jordan Clarkson on a vet minimum. They signed Landry Shamet. Like, what are these guys going to do? I don't know. Maybe they do rise to the spotlight.
I think LeBaron Fillon is a draft pick, right?
Yes.
Just coming in. But again, like the second Joel Embiid goes down, can Ndambona step up and give you what Joel Embiid gives you?
No, but nobody can.
Right. Dean Wade, what is he going to bring off?
Dean Wade is a fine bench player. I think he's a good six man. But yeah, outside of that,
I don't know. I struggle looking at the depth on this team and struggle to put them at the top of the Eastern Conference because we know what's on the bench with the New York Knicks, and it feels like a lot of these names, as far as the depth goes now for the Philadelphia 76ers, are all still really unproven.
That's fair. Where do you think Cleveland and Miami go from here after missing out on LeBron?
Cleveland has, I think Cleveland has a lot of questions that need to be that need to be answered as far as, same thing as far as their depth goes. I don't know. I think you've already reached the peak of what this iteration of the Cleveland Cavaliers will give you. And then as far as Miami goes, it would probably be the same conversation we're having with Joel Embiid. As long as Giannis Antetokounmpo can stay healthy, that team can be solid. That team can be competitive. But I don't know if they're, again, top of the East.
I think LeBron signing is a domino, right? I think a lot of people were waiting, including DeMar DeRozan. I think he'd fit best in Miami, but I think he's going to either Miami or Cleveland, right? So I think that's going to be a fine piece. Again, I don't know if that puts Miami over the top, but I do think the Giannis trade is huge. I think that his injuries were kind of let's just say I don't think the injuries were real. I don't think he was really injured. as
You're talking
much
about
as he was.
DeRozan. You're talking about
No, I'm talking about Giannis.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Towards the end of his tenure in Milwaukee, he was dealing with all these calf strains.
It was just kind of a, hey, I need to get out of here.
Yeah, I really do.
Okay.
I think a lot of people are like really worried about his health because he's missed a lot of games over the last couple of seasons. I think he's going to show up in Miami and that calf is going to magically be healed, right? So if they sign DeRozan, man, he brings a lot to what they kind of need as far as shooting goes.
A trio of DeMar DeRozan, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Bam Adebayo.
I mean, I wouldn't even include DeMar as a trio. Like he's washed, right? He's past his prime, but he still is a smart enough vet to bring in something of value, and that's something that they need, right?
The thing with Miami for me too is they traded away everybody to bring in Giannis. They gave up a lot of depth and a lot of really good pieces to bring in Giannis Antetokounmpo. And again, the question I have with the 76ers is the depth. Will the depth be good enough? Can the depth step up enough for this Miami Heat team to be competitive?
I do wonder. There are a couple other restricted free agents that could be really useful, right? Benedict Mathurin, Peyton Watson over in Denver. Those guys are both restricted free agents. So I do wonder now that some of the dust has settled if a team is going to feel a little, I don't want to say desperate, but more inclined to make a restricted free agent offer towards some of these players.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like Peyton Watson would be a really good fit in Miami.
I think so, yeah.
Jalen Duren, still restricted free agent. That has not been settled with Detroit.
And I think that's another big domino that needs to eventually fall. Whether he ends up staying in Detroit, whether he ends up leaving. The last I saw was something put out there by Chris Haynes, saying that he was really fed up with the situation in Detroit. So I don't know if he ends up staying with the Pistons or not. But that's a guy who was an All-Star last season. Had a big jump this year. Is he going to stay with the Pistons or is he going to go somewhere else?
Yeah, his playoffs really tanked him.
Yeah.
I think if he would have performed better in the playoffs, it'd be a no-brainer, but I think that really scared everybody away. Because he had like one of the weirder, as you mentioned, all-star seasons, then he averaged like 10 points a game in the playoffs.
Right.
And was a big part of why Detroit couldn't go farther. But as we kind of are alluding to, right, now that LeBron has finally made a decision, I think we're going to see a lot of moves over the next couple days, including... I bring up the restricted free agents, guys like Russell Westbrook. Is he going to find a home? James Harden has been holding out with Cleveland. Mm-hmm. Is he finally going to re-sign there? Draymond Green, similar deal with the Warriors, right? Those guys were both kind of waiting, hoping that they could get LeBron and then sign their deal to go over the cap. But I think this is going to be the first move that kind of leads to the end of free agency.
It felt like there was a lot of teams in the East that still need to make moves, that still needed to fill out rosters, and still need to bring in players to help get them to where they needed to where they want and need to go. Specifically, the teams that were waiting on LeBron's decision. So now I'm assuming and waiting to see if a flurry of moves come for the Cavs, for the Heat, and other teams in the East to fill out their rosters. And before we can, there's still moves to be made, and I think we'll probably see them here in the next couple of weeks. All right, we got to take a break. We'll step aside. We'll come back, and we'll jump into the rumor mill. Rumor has it we'll jump into some of the things that we've seen earlier this week and some of the rumors and the rumblings that are going on in the sports world. That's coming up next on the other side when we return. It is the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back into the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Napoles and Christian Esparza, thank you for making us a part of your Saturday morning. We'll jump into here to the rumor mill, talk about some of the rumblings that have been happening on in the social media world, around the world of sports. And so, Parker, fire it up. It is a rumor has it. Anthony Davis spotted working out at Villanova. So there's a lot of rumor, then there's a lot of rumblings happening around the world of Anthony Davis. And the latest is, of course, that he was spotted at Villanova working out and getting ready for the season. And why is that so important, Christian?
Do you know where Villanova is located?
I do know where Villanova is located.
Just outside the city of brotherly love.
There you go.
Anthony Davis was spotted working out at Villanova yesterday, right?
Right. And this goes along too.
Interesting.
Right. This goes along too with some of the rumblings and the tweets that have been out there earlier this week about the need for the want of Anthony Davis wanting to reunite with LeBron James for the last time out.
Well, what's funny is looking at the 76ers right now is they can't trade for Anthony Davis. I mean, if they add Anthony Davis, they're going to have to either move Anthony Davis or Joel Embiid or LeBron James to the bench, or move one of Tyrese Maxey or VJ Edgecombe.
Maybe. Do you really want to do that for Anthony Davis?
Maybe you move VJ Edgecombe to the bench and move LeBron to the 3 and Jaylen Brown to the 2.
Yeah.
And start Anthony Davis at the 4 and Joel Embiid at the 5. But I don't know. I mean, again, Philly didn't really have to give up anything to get Jaylen Brown. They still have draft assets. I mean, if they wanted to make it work, they can. But all of the reporting in the days leading up to LeBron signing with Philadelphia seemed to be that he was not waiting for a trade for Anthony Davis or Kyrie Irving, any of his former teammates. It kind of seems like that ship has sailed as far as that happening. But it is interesting to see Anthony Davis coincidentally working out at Villanova the day that LeBron signs with Philly. So I guess we will see where this goes. I mean, if they do add Anthony Davis, maybe you get 80 games total between Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid, but they're essentially one good player together, right?
Right.
You get half a season of Joel Embiid, half a season of Anthony Davis. That's still an all-star player right there.
And then to add fire, to add smoke to all these rumors, you have the two of the bigger voices when it comes to the NBA insiders kind of giving conflicting reports. You had Kevin O'Connor of Yahoo Sports, who was very into the theory of LeBron James slow playing his entire free agency decision in the hopes that he would be able to reunite with either Anthony Davis or Kyrie Irving. But then you have Shams Charania of ESPN, who also said that they weren't slow playing the decision, waiting for more dominoes to fall. They weren't waiting to see if Anthony Davis got traded anywhere. They weren't waiting for Kyrie Irving. They weren't waiting for anybody else to move around.
And that could just be wordplay. Like, you don't have to be waiting for that.
That's true.
You can still sign in Philadelphia and then make the trade afterwards. So
that is true. So we'll see. We'll see if anything happens with Anthony Davis. He did post a cryptic Instagram last night with the "Time will tell who's on my side."
Oh my gosh!
And a black screen. Yeah. So he's also now being cryptic on on social media following the news of LeBron James signing with the Philadelphia 76ers. So we'll see. Parker, fired up.
This one's fun.
This one is fun, and this one was very interesting. And again, take it with a massive grain of salt, because I don't know how much validity and how much of it was real, I guess. But Marty Mush puts out a tweet out there that I think caught the attention of a lot of local Jazz fans here in the state of Utah, as he puts out sources say LeBron is still going to Cleveland, which we now know is not true. The Cavs had a 3-team trade in place, sending Jarrett Allen to the Jazz and Anthony Davis coming to Cleveland, but that trade is off the table for the time being. End tweet.
Yeah, I mean, let's call it like it is. He's a Barstool guy, right? I don't know how much of these Barstool guys have actual sources. I mean, their whole thing is kind of being sarcastic and whatever, and I get there's an audience for it.
Right.
But there have been some Barstool guys that have had, I mean, there was one that was like all over the Whittingham stuff to Michigan, right?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
So you never know, I guess, what's real and what's fake. This one is interesting because it makes sense, frankly. I mean, we just spent the whole last 5 minutes talking about Anthony Davis being traded to Philadelphia or whatever, and if there was any smoke to that, and LeBron recruiting Anthony Davis to his next team. If LeBron were to have signed with Philadelphia or with Cleveland, and they traded for Anthony Davis, they would have needed to find a home for Jarrett Allen. Jarrett Allen would have made a lot of sense for the Utah Jazz, of course. Now with LeBron signing in Philly, this is dead.
Right.
Who knows? Maybe the Jazz will work something out later on. But, yeah, Jarrett Allen fitting with the Jazz after they lose Walker Kessler. I do like the fit. He's a lot cheaper than Walker Kessler. He is a better player than Walker Kessler. He's an all-star, right? So what could have been? I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because LeBron's not in Cleveland. The Jazz still don't have a center. I guess we can just sit here and talk about how cool it would have been to have Jarrett Allen.
It probably would have.
He seems like a cool dude, but like, I think the conversation here is that the Jazz, if the Jazz wanted to pull this off, they would have. If the Jazz want to trade for Jarrett Allen, they will. Whether it's last week or whether it's at the trade deadline or whether it's a year from now, next offseason. I think the point to remember is the Jazz are not winning a title this year. Sorry to break it to you. They're not.
Right.
So they're not worried about finding their true starting center. Why make a move now just to make a move? You don't have to. Let things play out. Let this first season, let's see how it goes. Make the playoffs. Make the push. Make the next step this year. And then when you're ready to finally become a true contender, then go find your starting center. But don't hamstring yourself right now just because you lost Walker Kessler. That's the whole reason they're comfortable with letting Walker walk. They don't need a starting center right now. They just don't, because they're not the Spurs. They're not the Thunder. They're not on that level yet. And frankly, a starting center probably would not put them on that level yet.
Absolutely. I think I would like to get more insight and more information as to how much validity there was behind this tweet from Marty. Because maybe it is possible that LeBron was having conversations with Cleveland about going to Cleveland. Maybe it was in the works of the Cleveland Cavaliers putting some feelers out there for Jarrett Allen to potentially get Anthony Davis, to get LeBron, have the reading in Cleveland, and then LeBron decides, I don't know, maybe I'll go to Philadelphia. And that's why ultimately that trade ended up being off the table, because the Cleveland realized, we're actually probably not going to get LeBron James. How much validity there is to all this. Or if it was just, put out there to be put out there, and they were pulling on the heartstrings of the Utah Jazz faithful, man.
It could be. Yeah, it very well could be.
And we'll probably never know. But you're absolutely right. I think the Utah Jazz don't need to force themselves into any situation just to have a starting center. We've heard it before. Chandler Holt has said it too multiple times. You can put a Band-Aid on the center position for a season and then ultimately make a decision later on, whether that be this before the trade deadline, whether that be next offseason, whenever that timeline is for the Utah Jazz. Do center by committee with Nurk, with Hayes, with the other guys that they signed.
Mo Bamba?
No,
you forget about Mo Bamba?
Maybe not Mo Bamba, but Jaren Jackson, sliding over to the 5.
Could be, yeah.
Kind of have a center by committee, put a bandage over that position for now, and then ultimately when the right decision and the right move comes up for the Utah Jazz, then maybe decide that then.
Well, and center is a lot like linebacker in the NFL, right? Like, your Fred Warners are great, and they really, really make a difference. Your Nikola Jokic, the best probably 2 or 3 in the league, really make a difference, and they're worth a lot of money. But if you are not one of the truly best ones in the league, then you're replaceable. Like, the difference between Walker Kessler and the next 7-foot shot blocking rebounder is not that big of a difference. Walker Kessler is not an all-star. Now he probably will. Now that he's in LA, he's probably going to get a lot more shine. Probably eventually going to be an all-star, right? But the truth is, like, Walker Kessler is not a game-changing center. You can get 75 to 80% of Walker Kessler's production just from, I can't even say really the guys that they have on the roster right now because they don't have a rim protector. They don't have a rebounder. But again, those are issues that are going to be addressed when they are ready to address those issues. And when you do that, yes, you can find a Mitchell Robinson. You can find some of these other guys that really play a similar game to Walker Kessler, and they're not going to break the bank.
All right, Parker. We got quick time for one more. Fire it up. BYU basketball reportedly lands big man from Poland, as Jonathan Gavoni put out there earlier this week that Jacob Urbanek committed to BYU basketball. That is followed by reports coming out of the European team that he's playing with that his contract has been essentially bought out. He is entering the market. And so it looks like BYU have landed their big man. And speaking about big man, we learned, I think, a lot in college basketball this season, too, that in order to be successful, you need to have some really good rim protectors, some really good big men. If you look at the teams who made the Final Four, they all had reliable big man options and good depth at that position, no less. And now BYU is looking to fill in a void at the center position with Urbanek.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why BYU did not live up to expectations last year. I mean, Kibikeda was really good the season before, and he kind of took a step backwards last year.
He did.
And they were really needing that. They were really missing that. They were missing a dominant size and presence in the paint. Now, I get that can be hard because you have AJ DeBonsa, or you had AJ DeBonsa, and his whole thing was kind of clear the paint and let me get to the rim. So, there's a give and take there as far as do you want/need a big man? But the truth is, in college basketball, you will always need a big man. And frankly, a lot of times the team with the better big man wins. Mm-hmm. Like as good as AJ DeBonsa can be, or Rob Wright can be next year, or Bruce Brown can be, right? I don't know.
You look at who won the national championship this last year, the Michigan Wolverines, and they had probably the best big man in the country, in Axel Landenborg.
And I'm thinking of like Utah State matching up against Arizona in whatever round that was. It the second round, right? I believe so.
Yeah. Yep.
Utah State played a heck of a game. They had Arizona on the ropes, and you know why Arizona ultimately won? Because at the end of the day, they had a big man that was just too much of a problem for the Aggies. They had no answer for his rebounding and his strength at the end of the game.
Absolutely.
It literally became hand it to the big guy, and I'm spacing his name, but at the end of the game, they were just feeding it to him, and he was just finding dunks, and he was grabbing boards, and that's what you need. You need a player who's going to dominate everybody else.
Hey, we're live on YouTube. We're up on, if you go over to KSLSports.com, you go to YouTube, you pull up the stream. We're currently live, and join in on the conversation. Drop a comment. Let us know what you think of the following rumors. At Karen for Darren has a comment for Christian. He says, "What? No Jazz title this year. So pessimistic."
They also clarified he's being sarcastic.
Sarcastic. I love it.
Sorry to break it to you.
I love it. All right. We got to take a. Oh, and there's also a poll. Our awesome producer Parker Long put out a poll on social media. There is a poll running right now on the KSL Sports page, KSL Sports Zone page. Sorry, excuse me. Where we're gonna talk about Greg Sankey and the comments that he made right at SEC Media Days that have taken the college football landscape by storm. And so the question is, do you really believe, Greg Sankey, that the SEC might break away from the NCAA? You can go over to that. Poll, drop a vote, and we'll see what the feeling is around the SEC potentially breaking away from the NCAA. You can also give us a call in, download the KSL Sports app, leave us a voicemail, and let us know your thoughts on Greg Sankey or on LeBron James joining the Philadelphia 76ers. We got to take a break. On the other side, let's jump into one of our favorite segments. It is Technical Fouls. That's coming up next on the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
When she said, "I don't dance now, I make money moves," that was a mission statement for a whole new generation.
Respect, but that's not the Mount Rushmore. Listen, cash rules everything around me. When that line dropped, it changed the whole hustle. The greatest tracks are never finished. They're just debated forever. Introducing the Sprite Living Track List. 50 tracks that shape the culture from 6 decades of hip-hop. Scan the QR code on a Sprite or Sprite Zero Sugar to see the full breakdown. Obey your thirst. Sprite.
Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Napoles, Christian Esparza, and it is time for Technical Fouls. Christian, have you ever seen an NFL owner so desperate for attention? This goes back a little bit to last week, where Tom Brady is at this Fanatics event, and him and First of all, I watched the video. I thought it was hilarious because it was so very obviously scripted and so very obviously, I guess, fake. But Tom Brady and Logan Paul start going at it. An NFL owner slaps a YouTube content creator, and then they have to be separated. Follow that up to later that Sunday, where Tom Brady and Logan Paul are both at the FIFA World Cup final. They have another dust up where Tom Brady is giving him the bird mid-game.
Yeah.
And again,
well, conveniently, they're
conveniently seated right next to each
very
other.
close to each other. Yeah. Oh.
I think this is so lame.
Well, so they have a history going back to, when was the Saudi Arabia football thing? Earlier this year?
Oh, I thought it was last year.
Last year, whatever. There was a big Saudi Arabia football event, a flag football event. Tom Brady helped organize it. I think Fanatics might have been involved, right? And there were a bunch of NFL players, a bunch of celebrities that went and participated in this flag football tournament. And in some of the press leading up to it, Mr. Brady and Mr. Logan Paul had some flare-ups, some words, some exchanges, whatever. And then, yes, fast forward to this Fanatics event last week. Tom Brady slaps Logan Paul up on the stage. Who tweets the video out? I mean, a lot of people did, but guess what? There was one account that was a dead giveaway that tweeted this out.
It was Fanatics, right?
No, well, what I'm getting at is the WWE.
Oh, gotcha.
Tweeted the video out.
Gotcha.
The WWE tweeted the video out.
Yeah.
Logan Paul, of course, has associated with the WWE. Fine, do your thing. But now you have Tom Brady in bed with the WWE.
Yes.
And, of course, a couple days after that, it comes out that he is in talks for a contract. And we've seen professional athletes do this thing before, right? But...
Right.
Excuse me, I got fired up. We've seen professional athletes do the WWE thing before. Karl Malone did it. So it's like, it's not taboo, but it's embarrassing for the 48, 49-year-old man now that has moved on from his playing career. He has moved on to an ownership role with the Las Vegas Raiders. He is Fox's top color analyst for their broadcasts. And you've still got this guy who's made all the money in the world during his NFL career. And why? My question is why? Why do you need to do the WE thing?
Are you justifiably in a position that I'd rather not be in?
Are you? Good one. Good pull. Are you running out of money? Are you desperate for attention? Are you feel like you're losing the spotlight? You want to relate to the younger generation? That's my question is why do this if you're Tom Brady? Because frankly, it's embarrassing.
Is it so crazy for me to think that it feels like it's a mix of all of those combined?
It totally could
together.
It's embarrassing for a man of Tom Brady's position to feel like he needs to go have fake beef with a 30-year-old YouTuber.
Right.
Like, come on.
I'm rewatching the video right now, and the security guy or whoever's next to Tom Brady is clearly just like waiting for the slap.
Yeah.
Like he's like watching his hand, and
they told him, okay, he's gonna get up there and slap Logan, and as soon as he does, get in there and break it up. So he's antsy. He's like, okay.
Yeah, no, this reads desperate for attention, desperate for I wanting to keep the spotlight on him, wanting to do the stuff with the WWE, and again, like
And it's funny because Karl Anthony Towns is in the middle of this video too.
Yes. To me, I don't see any other NFL owner doing this.
No.
I don't see any other NFL owner a part of a situation like this. So I mean, we got to hold I guess Tom Brady to a higher standard. And I feel like it's just the fact that he's Tom Brady that he has the ability to go do whatever he wants. Well, and I think that's kind of silly.
It's funny because Jerry Jones is always desperate for attention, right?
Yeah, but he never
You see
somebody.
Robert Kraft desperate for attention, and they get that attention in their own ways. But to your point, you don't see them signing with the WWE, making this fake beef, this whole saga. Like, it's sickening. It's gross. It's disgusting.
Right.
It's been going on for over a year. March was when the flag football tournament was, but the press leading up to it, and even some of the beef after the game. There's this video right here. Tom Brady says, "You did good." Logan Paul says, "No, I did great." And Tom Brady says, "No, you did good." Like, it's just feeding the fire, and it's, again, that's the question is why?
Yeah.
Why does Tom Brady need to do this?
We're already letting...
You're pushing 50, bro.
Yeah. We're already letting Tom Brady get away with being an NFL owner and being in broadcast rooms, right? And the controversy that draws up with him being an owner and a Fox commentator.
Yeah.
Let's not also let him get away with this.
So
please,
does this
please.
drop Tom in your GOAT rankings?
No, I mean,
No.
the Super Bowls, man. Come on.
Oh, Peyton Manning's the GOAT now. Easy.
Of course you would say Peyton Manning.
Easy, Peyton Manning.
Oh, man. All right.
Who are those horrible orange creatures over there?
I didn't
Tell
even
them I
mention
hate
the
them.
Broncos. I just said Peyton Manning.
You have a fun one with Mike Vrabel, man.
So this is funny. Today, the Patriots are hosting a Patriots Pet Adoption Day. They do this. Yeah, they do the funny wordplay there. Every year, this is an event that they do, right? But who is, it's funny, we're so Patriots heavy this segment.
I know.
Who is the most notorious person involved with the New England Patriots right now? Like, scandalous. Who is it?
Oh, it's Mike Vrabel.
Okay. And remind me what Mike Vrabel did.
Diana Rossini and everything that came along with and everything that came out about his entanglement with a NFL reporter in Diana Rossini.
He allegedly, let's call it like it is. He allegedly cheated on his wife with an NFL insider.
Allegedly.
So it is funny today, even though it's part of this promotional event for a pet adoption thing, to see Mike Vrabel walk up to the Patriots podium holding a puppy. Because what do puppies signify, right? It's like, it's cute, it's pure,
adorable. It's adorable.
Right? It's adorable, it's pure-hearted.
Right.
It's a feel-good thing, right? If you're around puppies and the puppies like you, you're a good person, right? So Mike Vrabel comes up to his podium today to promote this event, and he's just holding this little lab shepherd mix puppy. He calls her BB, right? He's known BB for a couple months now. He's like, hey, guys, come out here and adopt these dogs. Because if you're talking about adopting dogs, you're a good person. And no matter what you've done in the past, right?
Yes.
The puppies love you.
Yes.
So it's obviously, again, it's a promotional event. And it's something that they always do. But it just feels funny from like the outside perspective of everything Mike Vrabel's done over the last 9 months.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Hats off to their PR department.
Yeah.
You know what's a great idea? Let's get Mike Vrabel up there with the dog, and have people see him in a much better light. To add on to that, though, I'm looking at this tweet and this video right now where Mike Vrabel and BB are being where Mike Vrabel is delivering BB to the new family at the Patriots event that's happening.
Oh, she got adopted.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good job for BB.
And Vrabel is handing BB off to the new owner.
Way to go, Mike. You're a good dude. You're a great dude, Mike.
Class act that, Mike Vrabel. Man.
I don't think this is the case, but it would be hilarious if this was his first podium appearance of training camp. And maybe it is, but I doubt it. I haven't really kept up.
I haven't either.
But that would be the funniest part of it is if this was his first podium appearance at training camp and he needs to have a dog up with him to break the tension in the room and kind of, again, soften his image, make it seem like he's just this pure-hearted soul.
Also, to go along with the major news that happened yesterday with LeBron James signing for the Philadelphia 76ers, there was major news coming out of the NFL, where CBS NFL analyst Tony Romo was arrested on suspicion of OWI.
Operating while intoxicated.
Yes.
I don't know. Apparently in Wisconsin, there are multiple levels of DUI.
Yes.
So that way the whole state doesn't end up in jail. I don't know. I don't know where this falls as far as if he's going to serve jail time. I doubt it. I mean, I don't know. Mark Sanchez, his trial keeps getting pushed back, but he beat up an old man.
He did beat it. Yep.
Yep. Tony Romo, this is a big technical foul. Returns. I think he's from Wisconsin. I think he was at a golf event and Yeah, I saw this news come out yesterday. His mugshot comes out, and he looks like such a...
He's smiling.
Yeah,
smiling in the mugshot, just grinning ear to ear.
Guy.
Yeah.
Goofy Tony Romo. His fall from grace has been really interesting because if you remember when he first started as a color analyst,
everybody loved him.
He's doing the play prediction thing. Everybody was like, "Oh, this is great."
Everybody loved it.
He was so good, but
and now you get the I don't know, Jim.
I don't know, Jim. Like the last couple of years, for some reason, he has just become so annoying on the broadcast.
Yes. Anytime I see any stories of this, anything come out like this, like of this nature, I just remember back to my old high school football coach. Always, his words just seared into my brain. Never do anything to embarrass the team. Never do anything to embarrass your family. Never do anything to embarrass your name. And I feel like it's such an easy way to live life. Don't do anything to embarrass yourself, your family, your team.
Well, some people just live above that.
And yeah, exactly. I mean, you see stories like this all the time. Whether it's the athletes, whether it's now Tony Romo getting involved in this. Just make smarter choices, people. That's all I can say about this. Be smart.
Luckily, nobody was hurt.
Absolutely. And we'll see. His court date appearance is set for September 21st, so we'll see what happens with Tony Romo. And CBS, who had no comment regarding the arrest, we'll see if he continues to be the lead game analyst for CBS's NFL coverage coming up when the season starts.
I hope it's not Tony.
We'll take a break. Coming up on the other side, let's jump into SEC Media Days. Let's jump into some college football talk. Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, had a lot to say about where the SEC stands with the NCAA. That's coming up on the other side here on the Saturday show. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back into the Saturday show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Napoles and Christian Esparza taking you through your Saturday morning. The SEC Media Days, Christian, the gift that keeps on giving. So many sound bites, so many talking points, and so many things coming out from the conference that continues to tout themselves as the best in college football. And Greg Sankey, of course, adding to that narrative with his comments and the conversations about the SEC breaking away. I always look forward to SEC Media Days just because you hear I don't know if the arrogance is the right word.
No,
I guess
that
the
is
confidence
definitely
is
what it is.
the right
Yes.
word of just like wanting to put out your elbows all the time and saying, "Hey, we're the best and we're better than everybody else."
Every single one of these coaches that gets up and talks thinks that they don't stink.
Yes,
I mean, and that's
absolutely.
including the new Will Stein from Kentucky gets up.
Yeah,
and this is a clip maybe we can find and play later, but like they asked him, "Hey, Kentucky has always sucked," not verbatim. I'm paraphrasing here. Kentucky football has never been good. Why are you going to be different? And he literally pauses and says, I don't know if I should say this, but honestly, because of me. Like that's and it's crazy, dude. And they make it a 4-day event. Are you serious?
Yes.
Do we need 4 days of this? But anyways, to your point, I do think the arrogance is the best way to put it because they still think they are a top college football, and frankly, they're not anymore.
Right. Well, and it starts from the top, man. It starts from their commissioner. Greg Sankey had a lot to say about where the SEC is in the conversations. It was a talking point earlier in the summer about the SEC potentially breaking away from the NCAA. A reporter asked him point blank if those conversations are real, and this is what SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey had to say about the SEC potentially moving away from the NCAA.
So they're real. People have talked about that. They've opined about the frustrations that bring them to the point of saying we should look at something significantly different. I do not believe that is a leverage point. I think that's just honest communication. And so understand that beneath the observation is frustration. But I also know the pride with which I spoke of 13 national championships, and there is meaning and value. And I do think a national expectation that we participate in a national organization. But that national organization must function in a healthy manner.
Very, very much... we're going to take our ball and go play somewhere else type of situation going on here with Greg Sankey in the NCAA. You don't want to play by our rules. You don't want to play by the way that we want to play. So I'm just going to take my ball and go play somewhere else.
Well, yeah, do it.
Do it.
I don't know.
Exactly.
Like, nobody...
And that's kind of, I feel like that's where kind of everybody's at right now with the SEC and Greg Sankey. It's like, okay, that's fine. Go do it.
Yeah, go do it. See how long that lasts.
Go do it. Because if you go back again earlier in the summer when these conversations were first arising about the SEC potentially breaking away from the NCAA, you had a Big 12 AD in Phillips from Iowa State who essentially said the same thing. Go, like, we dare you. Do it. But if you're going to do it, you can't just do it in football. You can't just do it in basketball. You have to take all your sports with you.
Right.
Do it.
What are you going to do? Because if you break away from the NCAA, what's your point then? What are you competing for? Are you going to win the Natty? You're going to win the Natty against
your conference
the rest of the
champion.
SEC?
Your
right.
conference champion is your national champion.
We all know that's not what they want.
Right.
We all know that they want to prove that they are better than the Big Ten. Now, if the Big Ten breaks away with the SEC and that leads to something else, that's a little bit different.
That's a different conversation.
But frankly, the Big Ten, I think they are very happy with where they're at right now, right? They've won the last however many college football championships.
Not only
Michigan just won.
They won 3 national championships, right, in football. And then this year, too, you add on a men's basketball championship to go along with that.
Yes.
And a women's basketball championship to go along with that.
Right, yes. So the Big Ten, frankly, is dominating college sports right now.
Yes.
So why would they break away? Everything's going in their favor. And if the SEC breaks away, is it like right now the big deal is Fox essentially owns the media rights with the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
ESPN owns the media rights with the SEC. If the SEC breaks away from the NCAA and wants to go solo, is ESPN really going to be all that interested in still sticking with the SEC? I don't think so. I don't see how or why they would, right? So eventually, if this comes to fruition and they leave, ESPN is going to need essentially to pick up somebody. They're going to be just fine with the Big Ten. The Big Ten is like, if the SEC breaks away, the Big Ten will control everything and nobody's going to care about the SEC anymore.
Right. And that leads to one of their issues and one of the problems that they have and one of the things that they are, I guess, struggling with the NCAA. It's about the legislations that are coming down about protecting college sports and the bipartisan bill that's put out by a couple of senators. And some of the provisions in that bill is the fact that you can't. They're putting restrictions on college realignment on conference realignment and who can move to what conferences, right? They're putting restrictions on all that, and the SEC clearly doesn't want that because if the NCAA does eventually end up breaking away from the NCAA, they're going to want to bring in teams with them. And now we get back into the conversation of super leagues.
Right, except there'd be one super league and then one league that's like, oh, that's cute, you know?
Right, right.
I still don't see how that other quote-unquote super league would matter. They just wouldn't matter to anybody. If you leave, you are forgotten about.
The only reason I think I sit here in Salt Lake City, Utah, and care about the SEC is because of the top 25, right? Because of the expanded playoff now and you know everything that goes along with it. But again, to not only just believing, but if you believe that Greg Sankey and the SEC can break away from the NCAA, but if they do break away from the NCAA and they're not a part of the conversation of being in you know, competing against competing in a national championship with the local teams, do you really care about the SEC?
No, you just don't.
Right, and that's where this all comes down. So head over to our poll. There is a poll right now up on 97.5 the KSL Sports on Twitter page. Do you really believe Greg Sankey that the SEC might break away from the NCAA? That was the big major story point coming out of the SEC media days this week. And so again, you here in the Salt Lake market, do you care about the SEC if the SEC isn't a part of the NCAA conversation and isn't a part of that conversation about potentially competing for a national championship with the local teams? And do you really believe all this talk from Greg Sankey? Talking about the college football playoff, though, this is what Commissioner Greg Sankey had to say about the latest on college football playoff expansion, which, of course, we all know is a major talking point, contention point when it comes to the legislations coming down as well.
Over the past year, there's been considerable discussion about the format of the college football playoff. In fact, if I'm honest, I'd suggest that since the college football playoff was created, there's been considerable discussion about the future format of the college football playoff. Those conversations are important, but our approach has remained consistent. We're not necessarily interested in finding the easiest path. We are focused on finding the right path for college football. Leadership sometimes is not about having an immediate answer. Leadership is about asking the right questions before making decisions that shape our future. And some decisions are so important that taking the time needed to let the important questions be answered is the right step.
And that's such a, to me anyway, the way that I interpret that, it's such a silly answer to, it's a non-answer about college football playoff extension. We're just going to sit here and let the leadership take care of everything. When it's like you're part of that leadership, you have probably the most power in amongst that leadership.
He does.
And so he's just kind of taking the backseat and saying we're just going to let it play out. When you're kind of the driving factor
Right.
of the college football playoff expansion.
Well, and again, this all goes down to the media rights because the SEC is partnered with ESPN.
And they have all...
And ESPN owns the college football playoff right now.
Right.
So it makes sense why the SEC is against expansion. Meanwhile, the Big Ten and Fox are for expansion because if they add more games, they're going to need more broadcast partners, and that pie is going to have to be split. Why would ESPN want to split with Fox?
Exactly.
That's why the Big Ten wants to expand and the SEC doesn't. Of course, the Big 12 is for expansion as well because that would likely mean more teams for them. Mm-hmm. You're getting 2, 3, maybe 4 teams in a good year.
That's the hope.
That is the hope. So
that is the hope. But it seems every time that the conversation about expansion comes up, and every time the conversation about adding more teams to the college football playoff, it always feels like they want more spots for their guys.
Right. The SEC thinks that instead of getting a few more Big 12 teams in, they'd get a few more SEC teams in, right? Texas last year, 9-3, they missed the playoffs, controversial, whatever. Steve Sarkisian was moaning about it the other day. They get in an expanded playoff. Alabama a couple years ago, they were complaining about missing out when they were 9-3. They get in an expanded playoff, right? So you're going to have these 9-win Big Ten and SEC teams that do get in an expanded playoff. The question then becomes, what's the bar for the Big 12? How many teams do they like? What is the threshold? A 11-win BYU team that lost the conference championship game. You'd think and hope they're good enough to get in. Does a 10-win Utah team still get in? I don't know. I guess it depends on how much it's expanded. But the point of all of this is nobody wants to take the blame for no progress. Mm-hmm. People are mad that the playoff has not expanded yet. People want it to expand. And I say people as far as fans of college football, everybody watching. Everybody wants it to expand. The only people who don't want it to expand are Greg Sankey and the SEC. So this answer, him on the stage, that's him deflecting the blame.
Exactly.
That's him pushing the blame onto somebody else. Because everybody really knows that he's the bad guy here.
We're going to sit back and let the leadership, kind of handle it when, again, he has the most leadership in it feels like he has the most leadership in this room, and he has the most power in this room because
exactly,
he is the SEC commissioner and Greg Sankey. It's 1,000% a deflection. It's 1,000% a non-answer because ultimately the SEC just does not want to get more teams in. Does not want to expand the college football playoff. I'm really, really curious to see how the 9-game schedule, the 9-game conference schedule plays out for the SEC this season. first, I want to hear what Greg Sankey had to say about the teams moving on to a 9-game schedule before we give our thoughts on it, because I have a lot of thoughts about the 9-game conference schedule for the SEC.
The 9-game schedule reflects confidence in our universities, our student athletes, and in our football programs. It preserves great rivalries, historic rivalries, many of which are played every year. It creates more compelling conference matchups and reinforces our long-standing commitment to competitive excellence. When you look at our schedule, no one has created the kind of weekly competition that exists in the Southeastern Conference. It's competition that our fans will experience every week because we believe we're the best conference in college football. And if so, we should also embrace the challenges with a difficult and challenging conference schedule, the best schedule in college football. It will challenge our teams, it will prepare them for the highest level of competition, and reflects who we are as a conference.
First of all, again, you have the commissioner coming out, putting out his elbows and saying we're the best of the best and no one can touch us. But I am curious.
Living in the past.
I am curious how the 9-game schedule is going to work out for the SEC, because you brought up the 3-loss Alabama, right? You brought up some that situation, and I think that adding a 9th game to the conference, yes, it's going to do wonders to your record strength metric that was introduced to the criteria of how they judge the top 25 and how the selection committee picks their top 25. And so in theory, yes, your record strength metric is going to be boosted by adding another SEC opponent to it. But at the same time, I think that this is just going to cause a little bit more controversy when it comes to, do we let a 3-loss Texas into the college football playoff? Do we let a 3-loss Alabama into the college football playoff? Like, that's just going to, ultimately, I think what's going to happen is you will have some of the top contenders in the SEC playing against each other, which is great. That's great as a neutral. Like, I want to see that. I want to see Texas play Alabama. I want to see, the best of the best take on the best of the best, and as far as SEC football goes. But it feels like there's a real possibility that some of these teams are just going to cannibalize each other. And once we get to Selection Sunday, it's going to be that conversation of this 3-loss Texas team should be in the college football playoff because of how good our schedule is.
But on the flip side, that 9th conference game is replacing a pancake non-conference game,
Exactly.
So in that sense, you'll have, say there are 5 SEC teams and they won all of their 4 pancake games, right? Now replace those pancake games with actual tough SEC games. Let's say 2 of those SEC teams lose a conference game, right? That extra conference game. I think that actually helps make your decision easier, because if you've got a bunch of teams that went 4-0 non-conference versus 3-0 non-conference, adding an extra conference game adds, I guess, the potential for another loss. And if somebody loses, that also means somebody wins and their record looks better. So I actually think at the end of the season, it's going to make the selection easier as far as how many SEC teams you're picking between. It's not like you're going to have 6 or 7 10-win SEC teams. I think maybe you do end up with several 9-win SEC teams, but the precedent has been set. Those teams don't belong in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So that's not something I'm really worried about right now. And then even if you get into expansion, like, sure, let a couple more in. If you get to 16 or 24, I really don't care. Like, I ultimately think a 9-game conference schedule is good for every conference. I think every single power league needs to have 9 conference games.
Absolutely.
That way you don't have an inflated record because of a soft non-conference schedule. And I know that, like Texas playing Ohio State, they scheduled that non-conference game to help their non-conference schedule look better. But at the end of the day, it always looks better with an additional SEC game instead. So that's where I sit on that. Maybe it gets confusing towards the end of the year, but I really don't think so.
I am really intrigued. I am really intrigued just to see ultimately how it plays out. And right now with the with it still being obviously a 12-team playoff. You look at the Texas schedule, and they play 8 of the top 25 teams, preseason top 25 teams, right? You look at Oklahoma's schedule, they play 7. South Carolina plays 7. Kentucky also having 7, although I don't know if Kentucky will be amongst the best in the SEC.
Interesting, yeah.
But LSU will play 6. Ole Miss will play 6. Texas A&M plays 5, and then you have Georgia, who plays 5 of the people who are of the SEC and the teams that they're playing that are in the preseason top 25. CBS is projected preseason top 25. We got to take a break. On the other side, we'll jump into 5 minutes of. There's still plenty of topics to talk about. Not a lot of time left in the program, so we'll jump into a couple different topics next here on the Saturday show. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back in. It's the Saturday show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Napoles, Christian Esparza. It's time for 5 minutes of. Still plenty of topics to talk about, but not a lot of time left in the show to do so. Christian, we got an email the other day that got me really, really fired up, really excited. Utah putting out their full schedule for fall camp. Football is right around the corner. You have NFL teams now reporting to training camps as they get ready to start the season, man. It's an exciting time because we're almost there. You can taste it.
Yeah, Hall of Fame game next Thursday between the Cardinals and the Cardinals and Panthers. The Hall of Fame game always sucks.
Yes.
It's like the worst preseason game.
It's not very fun, but no. I think everybody
I'd give anything to watch a crappy NFL game
exactly.
right now. That's exactly where I'm at. And you do mention, the fall or the college football camps are heating up too. And it's going to be an interesting summer for both BYU and Utah. I think there are a lot of questions going into the season, but at the end of the day, I think you realize the expectations for the two local teams. So it's going to be another fun football year. Last year was incredibly fun, and this year is going to be no different.
Absolutely. I think BYU, how they follow up the season that was last year is a really, really intriguing storyline, right? 11-2, left out of the college football playoff, missed out on winning a Big 12 championship when they lost to Texas Tech in that game down there in Arlington. And how do they follow that up? Can they follow that up? But I think the big storyline, the biggest storyline here in the state of Utah when it comes to college football, it is of course Morgan Scalley, and it is how does Morgan Scalley navigate his first year as a head coach of a football program. Both really, really intriguing storylines that, of course, everybody here locally will be following. As we mentioned, the NFL training camps are heating up. People are starting to report, and there's a lot of interesting storylines too when it comes to the NFL. You have a really close eye on the AFC West. I have a really close eye on the NFC West, and I think you look at the NFC. And to me, right now, the teams that stand out are, of course, the Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. And I wonder if anybody else is there in the NFC to compete with those two right now as we enter training camp.
I do wonder, and this matters, like the Seahawks lost Clint Kubiak. He obviously is the new head coach of the Raiders. I do wonder how big of a loss that's going to be because he came in and he really helped Sam Darnold, helped transform JSN into the Offensive Player of the Year, helped Kenneth Walker win the Super Bowl MVP. Obviously, the defense is the hallmark of Seattle right now, and that is the head coach's strong suit. And his defense is always going to show up. But I think the offense was super underrated last year. So how do they replicate what Clint Kubiak was able to do? How do they find somebody else to step up and fill those shoes? Because when you find success and you start losing your coordinators, that's how your team starts kind of falling apart and not meeting those same expectations. So, yeah, the Seahawks, I think, have the infrastructure to be another really good team. But, like, if the 49ers bounce back at all, if the Rams are as good as we think they're going to be with Myles Garrett and potentially Aaron Donald, like, that division is so tough. It would not surprise me if Seattle finishes third. So I guess you never know. More news as far as Parker's Chiefs Andy Reid has announced that Patrick Mahomes has been fully cleared to participate in practice. That is huge. If he's a full go in training camp,
yes,
you can assume he's going to be fully healthy by week 1. So that means they won't have to see Justin Fields.
I thought for sure we would see Justin Fields a little bit, kind of bridge just that time as he continues through rehab and as you make sure Patrick Mahomes is okay. But it sounds like everything is he's fully cleared. He's ahead of schedule, and he's, quote, feeling amazing heading into this training camp for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, it wouldn't say any different.
Right.
I'd be shocked if he came out and said, "Yeah, I really don't feel good."
As far as the AFC, goes, I think it's a lot more wide open than the NFC is.
Yeah.
I look at the NFC, and I think that there are some teams that potentially can be competitive, right? You look at the Chicago Bears and where they were at this last season.
But you're not going to pick them as a Super Bowl contender.
I'm not going to pick them as a Super Bowl contender, no. I think they'll be, NFC contenders. I don't know if they're Super Bowl contenders.
AFC, the Patriots probably take a step back, right? They kind of they had a weird path to the Super Bowl. A lot of things went their way. I don't and their strength of schedule last year was a big topic, right?
Luckiest team in football.
They had the easiest schedule, I think, ever for a Super Bowl team.
Mm-hmm.
The Broncos, we'll see how they can do. I frankly am and I was a little tepid last year before the season. I mean, it was cool to see them make the playoffs. My expectations were winning a playoff game, and they did that, and they beat the Bills. They added Jalen Waddle. That's a huge acquisition. Can they repeat their success? I ultimately don't know. I don't know if their offense will be consistent enough to finish at the top of the AFC. The Bills didn't make any major moves. I mean, they added DJ Moore, but does that move the needle? Well, they didn't really upgrade their defense, and that's where their problems were.
Even more so with Buffalo, there's a new coaching staff.
Yeah, new head coach. I mean, he was with the organization.
He was with the organization, but I don't know if I don't know where they land. Do they get the new head coach bump, or is he someone that comes in and struggles?
Yeah, there's the whole thing. If a head coach doesn't win a Super Bowl within his first, I think, 5 years, he never will. That's an actual stat that's out there. So I think it was time to move on from Sean McDermott. But we'll see. And the Bengals, if they're healthy, if Joe Burrow, he does this weird thing where he plays every other year, right? So last year he missed a ton of games. This year you would assume he's going to come in and play a full season and be really good. When he shows up and plays, the Bengals are a really good football team, and they at least tried to improve their defense this offseason. So how good can the Bengals be?
Well,
and the Ravens and the Chargers.
The Ravens, how are they going to do with a new head coach?
It's 6 or 7 teams that you can throw a dart at, and I wouldn't be surprised if any one of them won the Super Bowl.
I'm still in the belief that had Bo Nix not gotten injured, they would have made the Super Bowl.
Well, you're just trying to bait me right now.
No.
I don't want to come off as a homer.
No,
I want to stay away from that, but I agree.
I genuinely feel, with how bad both of the offenses were in that game, and the weather, right, the nastiness that was the weather, I feel like if Bo Nix was healthy, they would have made it.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. But it's a new year.
It is a new year.
No, yeah. Bo Nix, how does he recover from his shattered ankle? And that's a whole storyline. Yeah, so I don't know, dude. The AFC is incredibly deep, as it has always been for the last few years. There's going to be some really good teams that miss the playoffs, whether it's because of injuries or it's simply too deep of a conference. But I do think the NFC is more top-heavy. The best teams in the NFC are better than the best teams in the AFC, but the AFC has more good teams.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. I have a hard time hitching a wagon to the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't believe in teams who need to be healthy to be successable.
Well, everybody needs to be healthy to be successful.
To clarify that, though, you have teams who do mitigate the injuries pretty well.
Yeah.
But obviously, right now, having Joe Burrow is a major factor, and I don't know if I'd trust Joe Flacco to come in, similar to what we saw last year. If Joe Burrow goes down, I don't know if I trust Joe Flacco to come in and keep it going.
Nah. Yeah, I'm with you.
A lot of question marks for me for the Bills. I don't think the Dolphins will do very much of anything this year.
Well, of course
I don't think the Jets will do very much of anything this year. Don't think the Browns will do very much of anything this year. But the Steelers and the Ravens, though, those are two teams that I find very intriguing. Can Mike McCarthy give the Steelers that little bit of a push. Can Aaron Rodgers find some sort of magic in what everybody believes to be his final season, right?
It's funny. I saw a list of the top 5 most expensive receiver rooms in the NFL. The Steelers I think they were 4th.
Really?
Do you know their receivers?
It's Pickens. It's Metcalf.
Not Pickens.
No.
Pickens
sorry,
you're
absolutely
Cowboys,
right.
yeah.
You're absolutely right. Metcalf's
so it's
still
Metcalf,
there, right? Metcalf's still there. And I think that's the only name that's popping out to me right now.
They traded for Michael Pittman Jr. from
That's
the
who
Colts,
it was.
right?
Yes. Okay. I was like, they made a move in the wide receiver room this offseason. I just couldn't remember who it was.
But outside of that, it's those two, and like they drafted Jeremy Bernard this year. They drafted Roman Wilson out of Michigan a couple years ago. But it's DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman Jr. are making the Steelers one of the most expensive receiver rooms in the NFL.
That's
you
crazy.
can't look at those two and tell me that is a good receiver room. That's not a top 5 receiver room in the NFL. Why are they paying them so much money? And they handed Michael Pittman a contract after they traded for him. So I don't know. I think it's going to be another 9-8 year for the Steelers. Like, that's the joke, right?
Right. I wanted to really like Michael Pittman. Really wanted to like Pittman coming out of the Colts. And I thought, at first he had a really solid start, and I wanted to, I guess, hitch my wagon to Pittman and his abilities. But we'll see if he's able to, I guess, break through now with the Steelers.
He's not. And the Steelers are in the worst kind of sports purgatory right now. Like, they're too good to tank, especially in next year's draft where there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks. They're too good to finish with a good draft pick, but they're not good enough to actually make the playoffs.
Yeah.
They're going to be picking 17, 18, 19, and they're going to miss out on all the top quarterbacks.
So close. So close to football being back, man. Looking forward to it. Very, very excited. Of course, the big story of the day, the big story of this weekend is going to be, of course, LeBron James signing for the Philadelphia 76ers. And you got an interesting question to ask about now that LeBron is a 76er.
Was this a bandwagon move?
Absolutely.
Apparently, there were reports coming out that the Heat and the Cavaliers were shocked that Philly was actually in the race. Miami and Cleveland thought it was down to them. So now that he signs with Philadelphia, they were caught a little off guard, especially because you look at Philadelphia, people were talking about them as one of the best teams in the East before this signing because of the Jaylen Brown trade that they executed, right? And they looked really good in the playoffs until Joel Embiid got hurt again. So does this, I don't know, this feels a little bit like KD joining the Warriors to me. And I know that Philadelphia hasn't won anything yet, so that's the difference. But LeBron is joining a team that everybody was already saying is stacked. Do you think this is like a weird move, like a bandwagon move?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's because I don't know if he'll ever openly admit it. I don't know if it'll actually ever be out there, but I think that he realizes that it is the end for LeBron. It is the end. It is the end for him. And what better opportunity to go into to try to win an NBA championship and try to end your career with another ring than by hitching your wagon to this to this team that already made the Jaylen Brown move.
Yeah.
Tyrese Maxey. I actually really like Tyrese Maxey and his development. I think VJ Edgecombe can develop and be a very good player, but the question for me, of course, is Joel Embiid.
Well, and it's funny because the conversation was that LeBron's decision was going to tell us what's most important to him, right? If he went to Miami, it's like, okay, that could be, you want to be a serious contender, but also like you get to live in Miami and you value your life off of the court just as much as on the court. If you go to Cleveland, that's the easy storyline. The hometown hero returning one last chapter for what do they call it? The land. But now him choosing Philadelphia, I think really does tell us that he wants to win a championship.
Absolutely.
And I think that's interesting because he doesn't have any history with Philadelphia. So I think it's kind of a bandwagon move. But at the end of the day, that's where he's at in his career. He gets to pick and choose where he wants to go. And frankly, I don't blame him for picking the situation that he feels like has the best chance to win a championship. I am really interested to see how this plays out. He's hooked me.
And that was the
drama,
plan.
all of the speculation, it's got me drawn in.
That was the plan all along, man. Now that he signed with the 76ers, everybody's intrigued to see. if the 76ers can go on and win an NBA championship and, send out LeBron with the ring. I do think, however, though, if for some crazy miracle the Philadelphia 76ers do win the NBA Finals this upcoming season, right? I do think that's it for LeBron.
You think he goes out?
Goes out with the ring. Still has another year on his contract, but says nope. I think that's it, and then calls it a career there. I do think that in the scenario where they do win a championship, that is it for LeBron James. All right, we'll take a break. Coming up on the other side, we'll wrap things up, and we'll get you ready for what's coming up this weekend here on the station, and we'll wrap it up here for Saturday. It is the Saturday show. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back in. Final segment of the day here on the Saturday show. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Napoles, Christian Esparza, and the man that everybody was waiting to hear from has finally spoken. Former Philadelphia 76er Patrick Beverley has already taken to social media and says the Sixers are the most dominant team he has ever seen.
That's interesting. I forgot he was a 76er. He's bounced around the league.
I think he did.
I think number one, he is begging for a roster spot is what this is.
Yes.
Number two, it is annoying how many shills LeBron James has across the league, right? I'm sure Draymond Green is going to come out and say that this is the best team in the NBA while he's currently trying to re-sign with the Warriors. Or maybe he'll just spur the Warriors and straight up sign in Philly. I don't know. It's fine. They're a fine team. I wouldn't say the most stacked, no.
I think it's interesting that he says this is the most dominant team he has ever seen when they have yet to even take the court.
Well, duh, yeah. It's hyperbole. Again, I wouldn't even say they're the most stacked in the NBA right now. Again, on paper, assuming that they're all healthy, yeah, that's a really dang good starting five.
Absolutely. I'm curious to see if the narrative changes in the Eastern Conference now. About how weak the East is, because you do have a now loaded 76ers. You have, of course, the defending champions in the New York Knicks. You have the Celtics with Tatum. You have the Heat with Giannis and Bam. You have the Cavs with Donovan Mitchell. You have the Pacers with what you anticipate to be a fully healthy Tyrese Halliburton with Pascal Siakam. The Wizards now with AJ DeBonsa, with Anthony Davis, with Trae Young. The Magic with Banchero and Franz, and then you have the Hawks, and then you have the Pistons.
A lot of teams in the East got better this offseason.
I would agree.
Not a lot of teams in the West got better. I mean, the Lakers added Walker. That's about it. So we'll see if the East is actually competitive. Nobody thought the Knicks were going to win, and they did.
Later today, you can catch the Salt Lake Bees taking on Omaha. That game's coming up here at 6:20, 6:30 first pitch. You can catch that on 102.7 HD2. The Utah Royals will be taking on the North Carolina Courage, 5:15 pregame, 5:45 kick. You can catch that on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone, and then you can catch Real Lake and Portland Timbers immediately following that with a 7:30 pre and an 8:30 kickoff. That's going to do it for us here on the Saturday show. Thank you so much for tuning in. From Alex Napoles, Christian Esparza, the Park and Long Behind the Glass. This has been another edition of the Saturday show, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.